So we begin a lesson. After installing the software, the icon will be on your desktop. It will be marked live stream. We launch it with a double click. We say yes if your antivirus or firewall will ask if we have to proceed. And we find ourselves in the first operational window. Here we first go to the settings. We check if your region and location is selected correctly. If your exact location will not be on the list, please try to select the nearest city from the list. So first you select the country, then the region, and then the city. It is necessary to assure the best accuracy, as the magnetic field of the Earth is uneven. Then we go to the device subfolder, and the software will automatically check the connection to the device. We leave all positions but COM unchecked. So if you will see that these parts are gray and unchecked, that means you will have to reconnect the device. Then, as soon as you have a patient, please press the test volume, and the headphones should be on the patient already. We check left channel, right channel, and both channels. The sound should be loud enough for the patient to hear, but not loud enough that he can't hear your voice, the voice of the operator or the doctor. Some patients have better hearing accuracy, some patients have problems with hearing, so it can be adjusted for every patient separately. We close it, and we save changes by pressing the OK button. If we have a new patient, we will start with the Diagnostics button, this one. If we already had a patient before this one, then we go to the card file. Let's imagine we have a new patient. We give his name and surname. We give his date of birth in the form of months. Day and year. We check if it's man or woman, so male or female. All other options are not necessary. You can add them as needed, so they will not affect the diagnostic itself. This will be information for you as a doctor. Then we start to collect anamnesis. So basically, we ask the patient about his complaints during the last 2 months. Even if the patient has no complaints in a given area, we still have to click it through to activate that marker for the first time. The complaints are associated with the red dots. Therefore, we click through and we select the complaints which are adequate for the last 2 months. So currently our patient has headache and some neck pain. As you see, every zone has associated complaints. If a certain complaint is more localized, then it is also possible for us to move the marker to localize this area as much as possible. The more information, the more accurate information we give to the system, the more information it will give to us back. If the patient has no complaints at all, only then we use and check this button, this marker, so no complaints. If any of these complaints is especially acute and the patient can feel it at the moment, then we will use the waiting button. If we press it once, then the complaint will show a red color. If the complaint is not only present today but especially painful or acute at the moment, then we will press waiting again and it will show us in the dark brown color. Also, the system will recognize it, and when decoding information from the patient, it will give this complaint a higher priority. If we did it by mistake, then we press the waiting button with the red minus, so it becomes red again and green again. We can also add diagnosis. Especially we have to add any resections that the patient might have. So if the organ or part of the organ was removed, then we will mark it. Otherwise, please only select the complaints, as the system will recognize the diagnosis on its own. If the patient had a blood test that was done not longer than 3 days ago, then we can also go to the tests part and add any relevant tests. We can also do it from the list up here. If the blood test or any other test was done later than 3 days ago, then you better ignore its results, because these laboratory tests and laboratory characteristics can change quite fast. As soon as all the complaints are collected, we save changes. Now the anamnesis part is unchecked. That means we have already collected the complaints from the patient. We press OK, and the software will bring us automatically to the diagnosis window. Here we will select what organs we will check and what organs we will not. It is your choice, but we will show you what is recommended in this case. First, we press the right mouse button and select Clear All. Then we press this button to expand the list. Usually we check the first 7. The first one is express monitoring, referring to the whole body. Then are the 6 systems: skeleton, chest organs, including lungs and heart, organs of extraperitoneal cellular tissue, male pelvic cavity organs from the right side, head in vertical cross-section and abdomen in cross-section. Even if the patient has no complaint according to these areas selected, we still have to test them, because the complaints might be caused by them, even if there is no direct link that we can see yet. Then it's a good idea to check several organs from every system. It might depend on the complaints, but it's still a good idea, even if there are no complaints in that area, to check several organs. So we go to each system and we select several organs. As you see, the organ can sometimes be checked from several positions. We do it to get the best accuracy, because, for instance, the interior and the posterior parts of the heart can show us different readings. It is also a good idea to check the blood cells for testing, because based on the blood cells we will later be able to prescribe diets and to check for infections in the whole of the body. We select chromosomal tests to determine which areas are especially under stress. It does not mean that we will actually analyze the DNA, it will only show us the stress of the relevant systems. We should also uncheck this button as there are two modes, automatic and manual. The difference is that in automatic mode, the software will first check all the organs that we selected and will later check the additional organs as it sees fit. In our case, we will turn it off. The patient should put on the headphones. His hands have to be on the sensors. The right hand goes to the plate, the left to the cylinder. The patient should remove all metallic things from him, be it jewelry, phones, rings, and so on and so forth. Also, there are two main cases in which we cannot test the patient at all. The first, if he has a pacemaker, a cardiostimulator, because there is a chance that the testing might interfere with the cardiostimulator. The second case is if a patient is prone and has had cases of epilepsy, because there is a chance that epilepsy can be triggered as we activate parts of the brain. Other cases that limit use include pregnant women. Usually we test pregnant women for the first 6 weeks of the pregnancy. It will most probably be not harmful to them even after this period, but as we cannot prove it, we better forego the risks. Also, we will not be able to see any information about the child. We will only see the information about the mother. In case a person has severe damage to his hands, we also usually do not test this patient, as the electricity going through the palms of the hands might be harmful. The patient should also not cross his legs during the period, and the patient ideally sits to the right from the doctor, from the operator, so that information from the patient is disconnected by the electromagnetic field and it does not go to the operator, and vice versa. As soon as it is ready, we start diagnostics by pressing the Running Diagnostics button. We will see different color-coded markers and can explain them to the patient immediately by pressing the Pause button. The white and the yellow circles will indicate actively functioning cells, not under stress. The green triangles will indicate adequate tissue reaction with some small stress involved. The red markers will indicate that there are quite a lot of toxins, and these toxins are forcing the deformation of homeostasis. If we would have blue diamond, that would indicate destabilization of homeostasis. So basically that part of the body, that cells, are already under so much stress that they are not functioning well enough. And the black squares would indicate destructive homeostasis, so the most high level of stress. It should also be noted that stress does not always indicate disease. Sometimes it might be just emotional or physical stress. For instance, if the patient has eaten something wrong for him, we would see quite a lot of stress in the digestive system. That does not always mean that there is a long-lasting problem. We unpause and we continue. The patient should be able to see the monitor as the testing progresses. Already these markers can give us some idea on where the problem is located, if there is some extra stress. It should also be noted that at this point it's a good idea to ask the patient if he is currently taking any medication, because that medication might offset and hide the problems. Basically, if the medication is good or any other forms of treatment that the patient is currently undergoing, we will not see the problem as it might be compensated. Therefore, it's a good idea to find out what is the medication exactly and what problems it refers to. As you see, testing takes around 30 seconds per organ. You can select any organs you want and any number of organs. It is more about the information that you receive, how deep do you want to go, and if you and the patient have enough time. Now we have selected a certain basic list. This list can be longer or can be shorter. Still, we recommend that you should always check the first 7 positions, that is express monitoring and the 6 systems. Now the testing is complete, and the next step we will come to the analysis of information that we received.